Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Life Together video podcast where we'll be discussing topics as varied as life itself. Life is messy. Life is beautiful. Let's talk about it. I'm your host, Eric Henninger, and I am sitting here with my friend and the fellow Asbury grad, Josh Lanier. We were going to talk about Dietrich Bonhoeffer's book, Life Together.
Oddly enough, the same title as your podcast.
Very interesting. And the book wasn't even on my radar until you mentioned it. Even when I created the title, I had no idea that this book existed. So the good news is the book is in my possession. The bad news is it has not been read. Due to a crazy couple of weeks, directed a couple musicals and some editing stuff that's been kind of backlogged for me in my business. So Josh and I have spent the last hour, or maybe almost an hour.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Talking about what can we talk about then. So we talked about maybe doing pet peeves. We talked about a lot about that.
Yeah.
And then we landed on talking about kind of nerdy things.
Woo!
Yeah. So we don't know exactly where this is going. So buckle your seatbelt because you're in for a ride of some kind. Hopefully it's fun, entertaining, and exciting. If it's boring, you can unclick your seatbelt and use the bathroom as needed.
Or jump off the plane.
Yeah. It might come to that, folks. It might come to that. Hopefully not. Okay. So there's several ways we could jump into this. Let's start with I think there's like 2 or 3 different like elements to this that I want to hit. Since you noticed my Batman watch, we'll start in the realm of the superhero. Cool. Okay. So we'll start easy and then we'll kind of back our way into some of this stuff.
Okay.
Favorite superhero film?
Oh, favorite superhero film. I am a huge fan of the first X-Men movie.
Ooh, yes.
I think it is just absolutely fantastic. And it introduced the characters so well. They all kind of came together so perfectly. And I was a huge I grew up in the 90s. There was this X-Men cartoon that I grew up watching that was just awesome. And to see that in 1999 when that movie came out, to see those characters seem like they were real is just fantastic.
Bryan Singer was so good as the director, was so good with the character development and the making something that on one level is completely unbelievable.
Right.
Feel very real world.
And it was the first superhero movie that really did that really made it seem like this could be something that happened but not really.
Right. Yeah, so thank you, Bryan Singer, because that kind of paved the way. I mean, there have been superhero movies in the past. We had the Christopher Reeves Superman. There was in the 70s, there was a Spiderman television show.
Right, and, Tim Burton's Batman movies.
Right, I forgot about those.
But again, those were so fantastical, such set in such a fantasy world, especially by the time you got to Batman and Robin, it was just completely, forget it.
When you said Batman and Robin, I threw up in my mouth a little. I'm just
As
kidding.
well you should.
Yeah, I refer to Batman Forever and Batman and Robin as the Joel Schumacher debacle. I'm not sure what... Well, actually, I know exactly what went wrong. Bat nipples. The Batman credit card. What were you thinking, people? Why wasn't I at that executive table making decisions? I did like Tim Burton's Batman, even though it didn't feel set in the world. You just accepted the fact that you were watching something that takes place in a completely fantastical world.
Yeah.
And I thought Michael Keaton was fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Jack Nicholson, awesome.
Awesome.
And I might get some heat for this, but I love Michelle Pfeiffer as the Catwoman. Maybe it was the suit, I don't know. But the fact that she did all of her own bullwhip work was impressive to me.
Absolutely.
But that was a real Batman Returns was a real dark.
Yeah.
Even darker than Batman.
Way darker than Batman.
But then after Batman and Robin, or Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, George Clooney, arguably the worst Batman.
Absolute worst Batman ever. I
think Chris O'Donnell could have done something, but George Clooney kind of poo-pooed on the movie. Val Kilmer was far better.
Yeah. I honestly, I think Forever, I like Batman Forever, I know that there are parts of it that are like, what?
Yeah.
But
those cringeworthy moments.
But I really did like Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Like, I really did. I thought he did a good job with that. And part of the elements of the story are kind of weak. And by the time it gets to the end, it's like, eh. And then the holy rusted metal Batman.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
It as a kid it made me laugh, and now like as an adult I'm like,
lame. Yeah, very lame. Yeah, right. I totally understand. But then but those movies killed that franchise for over a decade.
Oh yeah.
And even you didn't see a lot of superhero movies at that point. And it was Bryan Singer with X-Men that kind of brought that genre into not just back to the screen, but presented in such a way that studios went, wow, we can do something with this. And now it's hard to imagine a world without superhero movies every summer.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it is.
What did we do before superhero movies? Oh, we actually had dramas and things that had, deep meaning.
Lots of original material.
Right.
And it's funny because now, like, what is funny too is one of the things budget-wise that paved the way was Titanic, which is, we won't get into Titanic too much, but up to that point, nobody had spent that kind of money on a movie. And after Cameron had his ridiculous success with that, studios were willing to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into a project. I don't know what the budget was for X-Men, but I loved Bryan Singer's take on it and really introduced the world to Hugh Jackman, even though he'd been in other films, made him a household name.
Now the real question is what, like, Hugh Jackman's kind of getting up there, and it's like they want to keep making X-Men movies. Like, at some point it's going to be, we've got to replace the Wolverine. And like, how do you do that? Because he's invincible. Like, he really is invincible. Like, you can't just kill him off and be like, he's gone. Can't go back in time and say, hey, this is what he was like when he was younger, like they did with everyone else more recently. Like, because, he quit aging at some point.
Right.
Like, what do they do?
Well, I would just CGI him completely. It worked out well for Tron. Just kidding. That was terrible. The closest I've seen to somebody doing it really well was an Ant-Man with Michael Douglas,
which I have not seen yet.
Oh, fantastic! We won't talk about it.
Yeah.
But so X-Men, and then just because this is one of my things with the X-Men movies, Bryan Singer then did X2, which was another. I loved it. I still like the first one better.
First one's better,
but it still had all the magic of not magic, like
right,
but just that wow element, and still the good character development. Nightcrawler's story is super well developed. Oh my gosh,
I love Nightcrawler in that movie.
And then, curse you, Bryan Singer, you jumped ship to do Superman Returns, which is another discussion, and left the reins to Brett Ratner. Now, I have a lot of negative things to say about Brett Ratner. However, he makes millions of dollars, and we're doing a podcast in my kitchen. so there's that to keep it in perspective. But it was like we threw out all the character development that Singer had worked on in the first two movies, and we're like, screw it. Let's introduce characters with no backstory.
Let's introduce all the characters in one movie.
Yeah, now watching it as a separate action film and divorcing it from the comics and the first two movies, it functions on that level. There's still a lot of flaws, but as part of that trilogy, it's god awful.
Yeah,
it is so bad. Yeah. There's a YouTube channel. Here you go, free promotion. Called CinemaSids.
Yeah,
and they do everything wrong with, and like they take several points off of that movie just because of this reason. Freaking Brett Ratner, and that just makes me laugh so hard. It's like, what happened, and how were all these people on board with this movie? But anyways, so Bryan Singer jumped ship, but then he came back for Days of Future Past, which I thought was so well done. Yeah,
so awesome. And First Class was pretty good as well. I enjoyed First Class.
Yeah, well, Matthew Vaughn is pretty as a director. He did Kick-Ass. That's the name of the movie. Sorry, folks.
That movie.
He didn't do the second one, which sucked. Or I didn't like the second one, Kick-Ass.
I hadn't seen it.
The first one, like visually, like I liked his style. So he brought all of that coolness.
Yeah.
To First Class, and I did like that one. Of course, Michael Fassbender
Oh yeah,
is
absolutely
just awesome. And Jennifer Lawrence, who doesn't like Jennifer Lawrence?
right.
Well, I'm sure they're out there, but I like her, so I'd date her. Jennifer Lawrence, if you're listening, I sort of have a job. I'm a nice guy, and I'm from Kentucky, just like you. Okay, there, that's my pitch.
All right, it's good.
Maybe I'll get a date out of it.
Maybe.
Who knows? Right.
Here's hoping, anyway, right?
Probably not. What are the chances Jennifer Lawrence sees this podcast?
Everyone just share this so we can get Eric a date with Jennifer Lawrence.
I'm down with that. If she can play opposite Bradley Cooper in a movie, Jennifer, I could totally date. It's all good. Okay. So X-Men is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, and I'll explain my reasoning behind this, although not that this is a horribly, blasphemous movie to like, was the original Superman movie. And Superman's a tough character to identify with anyway because he's so godlike.
Right.
And of course there's a lot of beautiful biblical Christ pictures in his storyline. But just as a human being, it's hard to identify with somebody that's nearly invincible, good all the time,
right.
But one of the things that I like about it was that it was the first movie, this dates me, that my dad took me to go see in the theater.
That's awesome.
So the nostalgia of that for me has always, even Superman Returns with all of its flaws, what was cool about it for me. And Bryan Singer did a lot of things right, and he did a lot of things wrong with that movie. One of the things I think he did right was paying homage. And what was cool is I took my son to go see that movie, so it was like the nostalgia to a new generation. However, the mistake that he made was paying too much homage and not doing enough reinventing,
right.
And stuff like that. I think that's why it kind of fell flat. But anyway, so that's throwing it way back to the 70s. I was just a little kid, by the way, Jennifer Lawrence. I'm not that old. I was a wee lad.
My biggest problem with any Superman movie is just what you said. Like, it's impossible to relate to him, and it's so hard to make a good story out of it because the hero is never really in any danger. Like, you're never convinced that he's ever in danger.
Right.
It's hard to convince someone that he's in danger. Like, with the first one, like, you had that moment where it's like he's got the kryptonite around his neck, and he's like sitting at the bottom of the pool, and it's like, oh, this is actually legitimately a problem.
Right. Yeah.
But like beyond that, like you can't do that in every movie. Like you exhausted your one thing that can kill Superman in the first movie.
Here's the kryptonite again. I guess I'll use this opportunity to go to the bathroom and refill my popcorn. Well, and that's one of the things that they missed it with Man of Steel was trying to make it too gritty, like too dark. Yeah. It almost felt like Dark Knight with Superman on a certain level.
And I mean, as much damage as they did to that city.
Who would want Superman to stay?
Like,
really?
No wonder in Batman versus Superman, everyone's angry at him. Like, you destroyed the entire city. Of course we want you to go away.
Right, yeah, we don't need to worry about terrorists. We got Superman throwing villains through multi-billion-dollar buildings. And then they explode into dust.
Right.
Too. There's no... that movie suffered the most from being 45 minutes too long. That was my biggest pet peeve with it.
Oh, God.
But it was so... this is sad because I do like Superman because of the nostalgia. It was so unmemorable for me that my son was showing me the cinema sins, and I forgot Amy Adams was in it. That's how... And I like Amy Adams.
Right.
So I would date her too. So that's how... that's how just... I felt, and I hated it because I was so excited about it.
I did like it better than Superman Returns.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, because it did enough of the reinventing that you get invested, and they did a better job of, I think, making Clark a more identifiable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Character.
And the way that I felt like what's his name? The father, the guy who played the father.
Was it? Wait a minute, I'm thinking Smallville.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, Kevin Costner.
That guy. What? Like, he gets a bad rep. I actually really like him as an actor.
Yeah,
like,
no, he's solid.
I really people hate him for Waterworld, I think, which I don't understand because I
haven't seen Waterworld, but I read an article. I'll share it with you in a minute.
I actually kind of like Waterworld. Like, sure, it's cheesy, but like, it's a decent movie. Anyway,
I'll have to check it out.
I felt like his role as the father, in Man of Steel was such a great, like the way he portrayed it was such a great job, and the way that they killed him off was so different than
right. He had a heart attack going to get the mail and all the other ones, right? Like something like that,
right? But like the way it was like, hey, I'm going to die saving people's lives, kind of thing. That really does give that backstory, more solid kind of a push.
And when he dies, you actually feel invested.
Oh, absolutely.
In it. The fact they didn't kill him off in the first 10 minutes of the movie, too, I think helps make that investment. Real quick, I don't want to get off too far on this because I want to keep talking about the nerdy things. But when you mentioned Waterworld, I remember sitting in the dentist's office the year that movie came out, and I can't remember who was directing with Kevin Costner or producing or whatever, but he quit. He walked off the set and quit, and said to Entertainment Weekly, he said, "My advice for Kevin Costner in the future is to direct, produce, and star in all of his own films. That way, he's sure to work with his favorite director, his favorite producer, and his favorite leading man." And I was like, and I think that's why he got a bad rap. He kind of built this reputation of as being super egotistical. But as a performer, it's hard to argue with some. No, you could argue with some of the performances. There's like, why was he the only person in England in Robin Hood that didn't have a British accent? We don't know.
That's a good question. But it's still one of my favorite movies.
But it is good, and it grabs you at the heart in places and stuff. And Dances with Wolves, beautiful film, just fantastic. Open Range, not one of his more well-known movies that he did with Robert Duvall, kind of was an attempt, and a good attempt, at resurrecting the Western. I liked it. I thought it was good. The gunshot sounds were really awesome. Good sound editing. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. But Kevin Costner as Superman's dad in Man of Steel. I thought that was super, super solid. So Superman, Dark Knight, I think, the Dark Knight series, Batman Begins, which really bothers me with alphabetizing my DVD and Blu-ray collection. Here's the deal, filmmakers. There are anal retentive people out there like myself. And if you name your first one Batman Begins, it gets alphabetized in the B, with Batman. And then your sequel is The Dark Knight. This creates like a paradox of sorts, or not a paradox, but a conundrum for anal retentive people that alphabetize their stuff.
Yep.
Do I put it with Batman because it's part of the series? Which half of my brain says yeah, because it's part of the same series. Or do I put it in the D's under Dark Knight, now breaking the series up in its shelf position? Can we stop that? Could we have called it like Batman, The Dark Knight? Or Batman, The Dark Knight Rises? Just to, take a little pressure off my soul.
Well, my solution was just to buy the box set and put it on top of my DVD case.
Never mind. Problem solved. Well thought through, Josh. Well thought through.
Limited edition at that. So.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? In Batman Begins, I think kind of started to resurrect DC.
Oh yeah.
As a competitor with all, because Marvel is just. I think DC still has a lot of catching up to do, but just they're cranking stuff out left and right, and but it brought life to one of DC's strongest franchises. And so I loved Christian Bale as Batman.
Yeah.
Michael Caine as Alfred. Can Michael Caine just be in everything? Him and Chris Pratt, I think, will be good. Will be good if they're in everything. But what it did that the Tim Burton Batmans didn't do. They did what Bryan Singer did for X-Men, and that's situations and stuff that would in any other circumstance feel completely unbelievable. Slap them in a real city, and all of a sudden you start buying into it. You start identifying and going, that could happen.
Yeah,
I believe it. And so anyways, but what are your thoughts on the Batman Dark Knight?
Oh, I love them. Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Oh, jeepers.
I mean, I spent when that movie came out, when it came out on DVD anyway, I watched that movie so many times, just because I wanted to sound like Heath Ledger's Joker. So I work so hard to get the perfect sound,
Right?
you know? And I just want to put a smile on everybody's face.
A little scared right now. He doesn't have any blades on him. I frisked him when he came in. That sounded weird. It didn't happen. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, and let's dispel a myth really quick about Heath Ledger's death as it related to this. I even had somebody come into one of the classes I was teaching and sit in, and we were talking about, playing characters that are kind of outside of who you are as a human being. And he said to my class, and after he left, I corrected him, that the role was so dark that it brought him into this depression and he, overdosed on drugs. Folks, that's not what happened. Everybody that knew Heath at that time and worked with him would tell you that he was totally fine. Did he commit to the role? Yeah. Is he a little bit more method than some actors? Yes. Not as much as others, Daniel Day-Lewis, but still more method than some. However, the problem was not a depression brought on by playing the role of a madman. It was doctors in different countries prescribing legal medication, and they weren't cross-referencing each other. Right. And there was just a prescribed drug overdose based on reactions of the two drugs. So if you thought Heath Ledger went mad playing the Joker, not any more than Jack Nicholson is still mad. Although, yeah.
I remember watching a commentary or something on The Dark Knight and how, the director Christopher Nolan brought Heath Ledger in and, showed him, the first scene, with the bank heist and everything. And, Heath just absolutely flipped out. He loved it. He was so excited for the movie.
Oh, man. I think that I was really glad that he got the Oscar that year for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
Would he have gotten it if he hadn't passed away? I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Not because the performance wasn't worthy of it. Right. It most certainly was. But it's nice to see a superhero movie get an Oscar for performances, not just sound effects editing or special effects. Because I thought that one of the things that Nolan does really well with his casting and with directing his actors is he gets seriously amazing performances.
Oh, yeah.
It's not campy.
Yeah, no.
It's gritty. It feels honest. And he certainly... And I love the enigma that it brought there. We never know how he got his scars. We really don't.
Well, I mean, they did a great job of really adapting the comic, where they took that from, because, the backstory of the Joker is so varied, throughout the history of that comic book.
Yeah.
So, just kind of throwing it out there that it could be this, could be that.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Well, and then speaking of the Joker, have you seen the trailer for Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I knew nothing about the Suicide Squad thing at all until my son showed me the trailer.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I went, so seeing it. So is it Jared Leto? Is it Leto or Leto?
I think it's Leto.
Leto? Okay,
Jared Leto.
We'll go with that. Jared, if it's wrong, hook me up with Jennifer Lawrence or Amy Adams, and I'll apologize to you. I'll fly out to wherever you are and we'll have coffee on me. But I was thinking about this, and for me as an actor, it would be hard to take a role like that and not have Nicholson and Ledger.
Oh God.
And even Romero maybe, if you go with that back that far.
Yeah.
In your head, going, okay, and just trying to get all that out of your head and create a unique performance. And the little bit that you see in the trailer feels like he's gonna nail it.
Oh yeah. I think he's gonna do a good job with it. There is a lot of people who are a little, miffed about the tattoos and the this stuff, and I'm just let them take the character where they want to take it. This is an artistic vision for these are comic books.
Right.
It changes every time. Every time it changes in artist's hands, the character changes. So this is just a new artist taking on, the character.
And we really, I feel like. I think we all kind of gravitate towards favorites, but really I think each person that has played that role is brilliant in their own right and played it differently, and that's the beauty of it. From the actor to the director working together to create that character, And so I hate when people are like, oh, Leto's gonna suck as the Joker and Heath Ledger was the best. Well, Heath Ledger was unarguably fantastic.
Yes.
But let's let Leto do his thing, and maybe it'll blow our minds.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm hoping for Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne. I wouldn't call myself a Ben Affleck fan. I'm not a hater either.
Right.
But I heard somebody be like, "This is going to be worse than George Clooney," and I have a hard time fully buying into that, folks.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
Oh my lord!
Never leave home without it.
Let's just take a moment of silence.
Or no, never leave the cave without it. That's what it was.
Oh my gosh!
Never leave the cave without it.
I think I remember reading somewhere at some point during filming, George Clooney admitted that it was a bad movie.
Yeah.
We know this is a horrible film and will kill this franchise. Oh my goodness. Apparently, Schumacher had a fifth project, third for him, in the works. And apparently it was vastly different. But after the money loss that they took from Batman and Robin, the studio canned it and just said, no, never mind, we're not doing any more
Well,
of
you
this.
mentioned Cinema Sins. The Cinema Sins for Batman and Robin is absolutely hilarious. I love it. Absolutely hilarious.
Go to YouTube and look up Cinema Sins. Absolutely, if you're a cinephile and you love movies, now if it's a movie that you really like and they do something for it, it'll make you angry and make you watch your favorite movie a little bit different. So proceed cautiously. But it's interesting because their whole thing is that no film is without sin.
Everything is flawed, and as much as I love Back to the Future or Star Wars or whatever movie it is, like there are absolutely flaws that can be pointed out, and they can be huge and leave huge plot holes.
Yep, it's true. Avengers: Age of Ultron. Big plot holes. I don't like you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Joss. You're amazing. No, I was so okay. Let's jump into that too. First Avengers. I really liked that movie.
Great movie.
Fantastic. And then I was excited about the second one, and I had to go see it twice because the first time I went to see it, an hour before, I had listened to an interview with Robert Downey Jr. poo-pooing on independent filmmakers. Now, while he raised some good points, indie filmmakers, if you're fortunate enough to get an A or even a B list. You know what? Never mind. Take care of your talent. Respect their time. Respect their efforts. Respect their process. Don't ask more of them after the fact than you've asked them to do up front. So he had some good points as it related to that.
Right.
However, he also came off really arrogant and really just negative on independent filmmakers. So I went in, and I like Robert Downey Jr., but after I heard that, I walked in, and I watched him like this. Oh yeah, Robert? Feels kind of phoned in. Just get your $10 million check and just say your lines. And so when we got done watching it, somebody said, "What did you think?" And I said, "I was underwhelmed." So in all fairness, I went back and watched it again. I seldom will do that in the theater just because it's so expensive to go to the movies.
Right.
But I felt like I owed it to Joss. I owed it to Robert, because we're friends. Hook me up with Jennifer Lawrence or Amy Adams. Por favor. I don't have a lot of money to offer, but I have a lot of nice, good qualities as a human being. But I watched it again, and still, there's some moments in it that were really cool, but still some big plot holes, and I still felt underwhelmed, which bummed me out because I wanted to like it so much. What were your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed Age of Ultron a lot. I only watched it once, and that was a little while ago, so I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm bad with remembering things after one watch.
Fair enough. You were underwhelmed, trust me. No, I'm just kidding. And again, those guys are making millions and millions of dollars, and that franchise is going to gross billions of dollars, and we're making a podcast in my kitchen. So all of this is said through that lens, just FYI.
Nah, but I really enjoyed it. The guy who did the voice of Ultron, I can't think of his name.
Spader?
Spader, yeah, him. See, I'm bad with names and actors too.
It's weird that I know all that stuff. I don't know why it's all in my head.
But no, I knew I recognized his voice.
Yeah.
But I was like, when it came around, I was like, who? Like,
who's that?
Oh, that guy! Wow, I had no idea. That was fantastic. Like,
yeah,
just the voice, in that whole thing.
He did a great job. Yeah, I liked him.
I like the Pinocchio reference that he made at the No Strings on Me. Reference that was in there. Like, I thought that was really
now that
cool.
Marvel's owned by Disney,
right?
It makes it even funnier.
Hilarious.
Marvel or Disney owns everything.
Yes, Disney.
Like even my apartment complex. No, I'm kidding. That's true. Yeah, and I also loved seeing finally in that series seeing Paul Bettany on screen as Vision. And I heard, true story, that I don't know, but I read somewhere that prior to that happening, a producer, not from Avengers, but another producer had told him that he was just kind of done. He was past his peak. He wouldn't have any major roles again. And he said he literally sat out on the step, or on the curb in front of this building, just despairing over his career. What in the world? Like, he had done the voice for Jarvis for the Iron Man movies and for the first Avengers. And at that point, he was sitting, according to Paul Bettany, he was sitting on the curb, just despondent of life itself. His phone rings, and it's Joss Whedon, or a studio exec working. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Joss, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on the details. But basically, they were like, "Hey, listen, we're doing this, and we want you to be the actor." So he flipped the building off that this producer was in and walked off, and he was in Avengers: Age of Ultron. Yeah,
awesome.
And I do like Paul Bettany. He was great in Da Vinci Code, and even in what was that movie? Legion. He was good.
Yeah.
The movie was kind of like this for me, but he was. I don't know. He's one of those guys that I enjoy watching. Just he's an interesting actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Age of Ultron, and then we got a bunch of other superhero. We haven't even talked about Star Wars yet, people.
We haven't gotten into anything. We could do like 3 episodes on this, Eric.
We might break this up into Nerdfest 1, Nerdfest 2. Trying to think if there's any other. We've hit on a lot of the
major movies.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Spider-Man.
We haven't talked about Spider-Man, which they're rebooting again, apparently.
Stop.
Like, I get, I understand, after the whole Sam Raimi debacle and how, that all fell apart with Spider-Man 3, I understand, rebooting after that, but, I didn't feel like the Amazing Spider-Man was terrible. I didn't feel like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was bad. Why do we need to let's roll with something for a change rather than, but no.
No, you know what? I thought, I always get the name wrong. Andrew Garfield. I was going to say James Garfield, but that was the president of the United States. Get your history right. But I liked him in Social Network, and I liked what he brought to the Peter Parker Spider-Man character.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I thought he was fantastic.
And it was such a different take on Spider. He was always, this uber nerd. Or geek, I guess. Uber geek, maybe. That was really, not just socially awkward, but, didn't have any real thing outside of science. Yeah. And the thing that they brought in was, he skateboards, and he is this nerd, geek kind of a thing, and he's super smart, but he's also got these other aspects to him.
Yeah.
That I thought was really cool as, someone who used to skateboard.
I fell off one once, so that was kind of it for me. I'm a quitter. Just kidding.
So, yeah, I thought it was really cool because, as society has kind of changed, nerds are more, into that kind of stuff. And so, it makes sense that Peter Parker would also kind of get involved in something like that. And even though he's still kind of, the dork,
Right. I thought he did a great job.
No, he did.
And I think where they derailed with Sam Raimi, and I honestly don't know how much of this was Sam and how much of it was the studio pushing for certain things. But there comes a point in a movie, and faith-based movies are horrible for doing this, is trying to do too much in one film. So Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, we won't even talk about the emo bit that he went through. We didn't need 3 villains.
No,
it's overkill. You can't identify with anybody. it just becomes this sensory overload thing.
Yep.
And they flirted with that in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 by introducing Rhino into the mix. Now, he wasn't in the whole movie,
right?
But he was only slightly less present than Venom was in Spider-Man 3. And I love Paul Giamatti, and so I was really excited to see where they're going to go with Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Right.
And but at any rate, but I don't know, like if it doesn't work, reboot. If it doesn't work, reboot. It tends to be like this trend, and there's some things that are worthy of rebooting.
Yeah.
Make another Firefly series. Hey, by the way,
Joss.
Yes, please. Somebody give the man some money. Like, it's not right that there was only one season of that.
I just finished that season.
Isn't it amazing?
It was.
It's so good.
I tried watching it a little while ago, and I watched the first episode, and I was like, eh. And
grows on you.
And then I went back to it. I'd seen something that was this rumor of Firefly season 2. It was fake, but it was this rumor that was going around the interwebs. Don't believe everything you read.
That's right. Even Abraham Lincoln cautioned us about believing everything we read on the internet. I read that on the internet. Go ahead.
But I was like, I'll give it a second try. So I watched the first episode, and it was still a little underwhelming for me. It's a lot to kind of take in one episode, or an hour and a half was the first pilot episode. And, but I went ahead with the second one, and but by the time the last episode comes around, I was really into the show, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? That's it? Jerks!"
And then you watch Serenity and still don't feel like it's totally wrapped.
They took it off Netflix, so I can't watch Serenity.
Oh, I'll have to loan it to you. I own it.
Please do.
Yeah. But yeah, Nathan Fillion. There's somebody who needs to be in a superhero movie, just by the way. He would have made a great Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the movie sucked regardless of who was Green Lantern. That's all we'll say about that.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I mean, it's not... In comparison, if you're comparing it with, the rest of the, comic book movies that are coming out now, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not. But by itself, it's not a terrible movie.
It is, but, I like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I just thought that too much of it was just... I don't know how else you would do it without CGI, but it just felt so computer heavy.
No,
even his costume was CGI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we couldn't make one? I mean, really? And I understand that it's supposed to feel alien, and so I felt more alienated than I felt.
That makes sense.
And although I love Ryan Reynolds, and the fact that they can do a movie that does so poorly like that, and he's still, because people recognize his ability.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see him as Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
That'll be interesting and fun.
I'm excited that they're actually gonna do that right.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall and all that stuff,
it's gonna be cool.
Should be good.
That's gonna be, for my son and I, it's gonna be an opening night film. So oh my gosh, okay, so Spider-Man, we talked about Spider-Man. There's so many superhero movies.
It's so much. There's so much information here we could talk about. We haven't even talked about the DC TV shows.
Oh gosh, right. and the only one, honestly, if I'm honest, the only one that I've watched any of, and I didn't get through the whole season, which had nothing to do with the show. It had to do with my time, and then I forgot about it. But was Green Arrow or Arrow?
Yeah.
And
which is a fantastic.
So they were doing a great job with it.
Fantastic.
And then Marvel's doing a great job. I watched the pilot for Daredevil the other day.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel!
Man. It's
wonderful.
I watched that whole season on Netflix.
It looks to be so good.
I love the thing about Netflix of releasing entire series at once, but I hate it because then it's next year on and it's
I gotta wait now.
I've watched 13 episodes. I want the next thing, and I have to wait an entire year for another season.
It's crazy. Oh my gosh, I totally agree. That's how House of Cards was for me. What? And now I'm waiting for season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're doing that. I think what DC should do, and should have done a long time ago, and it certainly would behoove them in keeping up with Marvel. And not that I think they need to saturate it as much as Marvel does, because now almost, with few exceptions, Marvel movies feel kind of meh for me a lot of times, just because we're so saturated with it that it's do something different. Show me something new. Not just a new character, but showed me something new. So I enjoyed Ant-Man. It was fun. A character I didn't know much about going in.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. And Paul Rudd is always fun to watch. He's just got an interesting person. Right, it is Paul Rudd, right?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. That sounds right.
But I think DC has an ace up their sleeve with the one solid female character that they could do that doesn't need a man, kind of like a man to make her
Right.
cool in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So, the Justice League, but I feel like you're almost going to shoot yourself in the foot a little bit by just putting her in the league. She deserves
Yeah.
her own movie. You want to make non-nerd women come and see a nerd movie? Do a Wonder Woman movie, I think.
Do it right.
And do it well.
Do it well.
She's a strong character, and I think that would
Absolutely
behoove them really, really well. And also, this is going to sound weird, but kill Hal Jordan and get was it Jon Stewart?
Yeah.
In there is Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And because what you're doing, and it's not as superheroes originally, their onset at the time in our country's history were very pasty white. So DC has
a lot of pasty white.
Has a lot of pasty white characters, and Marvel did too. Aside from Blade, and when they changed, Nick Fury, because Nick Fury was originally a white guy. But so you've got is it John?
That sounds right.
Stewart, is that right? I know that's also a host of the show, but I think that's his name.
I think that's right.
But there you got another strong African American, or is that still political? How do we I don't know how to say it without sounding.
He's an African American, or he's just a Black American.
He's a Black American. We're white Americans, and he's but the point is that I feel like we should be able to talk about this stuff without feeling like it's controversial. But man, play those characters that are strong, and that are a positive, role model to everybody, across the board. So I feel like there's some places where DC's missed the mark, but some places where they've nailed it.
And with the TV shows that they've put out, Arrow is a fantastic show. I'm really excited about the new season of that. That's coming up. The first season of Flash.
Oh, I forgot that one was out there. Yeah,
just finished up. That'll be on Netflix soon, I'm thinking.
Sweet.
It starts off kind of slow and a little but as you get in, it's a really enjoyable show. Gotham.
I've heard that one was fantastic.
Gotham was just fantastic. I can't wait for that one to come out on Netflix, and I'm going to rewatch that whole first season.
Nice.
And then
we like Netflix. BT Dubs. That's
yes.
where I watch 99% of my television.
And I'm very disappointed with NBC because they did not pick up Constantine for a second season.
Okay.
But Constantine, I absolutely loved Constantine. And there are rumors floating around that Arrow may bring him in.
Okay, cool.
And so we might get some sort of revival through that, which would be awesome.
Nice. Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, okay, let's I feel like we seriously could. I don't even know how long we've been talking.
I don't know. It's been a while.
We might actually break this into 3 episodes. We'll do it all in one, so you don't have to keep driving back.
Right, that's fine.
Although that would be okay with me. But
I don't care.
Is there anything? I'm trying to think if there's any other superhero nerdy stuff that that is there's a lot of stuff that's worthy of talking about, I guess. I think we hit the major players.
As far as cinema stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
Well, I'll say this.
Daredevil, we didn't talk about.
I was just going to say that! I was going to say, you said that you didn't hate Green Lantern as much as the critics did. I didn't hate Daredevil as much as the critics did.
I've got an interesting story about Daredevil.
Okay.
I was in 9th grade when that movie came out, and I went with a friend of mine to go see it in the theaters, and it was a Sunday night, so I should have been at church.
Shame on you, Josh.
Yeah, terrible person. But it was a Sunday night, so we're on our way home from the movie, and we thought it was I really enjoyed it as I was 12 or 13 or 14, I don't remember.
Okay.
I thought it was a great movie, and so on our way home, I lived in the middle. I'm from Alabama originally, lived in the middle of nowhere. So we're coming back from the movie theater, and we're in this the boondocks, and we're driving down the road, and all of a sudden the passenger window explodes. And I know, right? Just like crazy. And
I would have peed a little bit.
and I wear contacts, and my right contact or my left contact had ripped earlier in the month, so I wasn't wearing anything in that. I could only really see out of one eye. I wasn't driving, but
oh, okay.
Yeah, I was 13.
Oh, fair enough. I missed. Okay, I didn't connect those dots. Sorry.
So I'm in the passenger seat. My friend's driving, and so the passenger window explodes. I can't see out of my left eye really, and now after the window explodes, I can't see anything out of my right eye. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the window just exploded and glass shot in my eye and I'm blind. And this I just went and saw Daredevil and now I'm blind.
Perfect.
So yeah, we pull over to the side of the road and I'm screaming and yelling, my eye is gone, my eye is gone, my eye is gone. Freaking out. My friend's, calm down, your eye is still there, it's okay. She has no idea whether or not, she doesn't have any idea, she's just trying to keep me calm.
Yeah.
What had happened?
The one time lying may be okay.
Right. When you've got a freaking out, teenage boy.
Who's not driving.
Right. What had happened, there were these kids that were out, like I said, this is in the middle of nowhere. They're throwing rocks at cars, just having fun, you know.
That's fun.
I mean,
punks.
Generally there's no problem with that, right? But no, the rock hit the passenger side window, and that's what caused the explosion. And then the rock hit me in the face.
Oh my god.
And I had blood running through my eye, which clouded my vision, making me not be able to see. So that's my Daredevil story.
Wow. And whether or not Josh moonlights around the city in tight red leather, saving people and fighting crime, we cannot discuss on this podcast.
Yeah, no.
I had some kids, totally random story. I was driving my daughters somewhere, and these kids thought it'd be fun to shoot airsoft guns at us. Totally harmless, right? But they hit my car with the airsoft, pellets, BBs or whatever.
Right.
And I said to my girls, I'm like, you want to see something funny? They're like, yeah. So I slammed on my brakes and I put it in reverse and started backing up. And the look on these kids' faces, it was priceless.
That's awesome.
They were like, what? And they just took off running, and we were laughing so hard in the car. I wasn't going to do anything. It wasn't like they were going to damage my car or anything. But it was funny. But the point is respect other people and their property people. Yeah,
don't throw rocks at cars, please.
Yes. This is the problem with society, is there's a lack of respect for other people. There's our deep truth for the day. Cool. So yeah, Daredevil.
No, I enjoyed Ben Affleck in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it did suffer from a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I'll go with
absolutely.
that. But I like the character. I think he's an interesting character, and I don't understand why everybody's so poo-pooing on Ben Affleck as Batman.
Give him a chance.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all you can do.
Was it giggly? Notwithstanding, that was kind of a giggly was not a. Yeah, so let's just kind of forget that exists. Geely, is that
Geely, yeah.
Whatever? I don't know. That's how much I care about that movie. Jiggly, giggly, GG, whatever. I don't know. But so let's kind of ignore that. But as a performer, he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
And as a director, solid.
Yeah.
So the decision to cast him makes sense.
Oh yeah.
To me, especially since you've got to find somebody new anyway. Because I believe the story was that Christian Bale, while he doesn't hate the character of Batman, kind of wasn't interested if Nolan wasn't attached, and
right. And
he's kind of done. I've done my thing as Batman.
Yeah.
Let's let somebody else do it.
And I think Nolan was just kind of the opinion that you can't use Christian Bale because my movies are set in a different universe.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing.
Right.
So I'm certainly not dreading to see this performance. I think it's going to be.
Oh yeah, it should be
better than anybody expects.
Should be good. I'm excited for that one for sure.
Will he be my favorite Batman of all of them? I don't know.
I doubt it. Whenever they came out with the art when it had the short ears, I've always hated
the short ears.
The short ears on the Batman costume because no, No.
Yeah, how do you
got to have the
how do you run somebody through with a headbutt in your short ears? Yeah, no, I understand. It doesn't look quite the same. Yeah, I understand that. So Ben Affleck, we're hopeful. We believe you can do it. Hook me up with Jennifer Lawrence and Amy Adams.